4 teams remain: Port Adelaide, Adelaide, Brisbane, and this year's favourite, North Melbourne. We are 1 week away from finding out who will be in the 2024 AFLW Grand Final. The Power, what a story. You know, for a lot of people who thought they wouldn't make the 8, they've surprised everyone by now making a preliminary final. I had them in my 8, just a reminder. Goody, Dowrick, Houghton and co. have led them on this surge they're on right now. North Melbourne, Garner, Riddell, Tripodi, O'Loughlin, Gatt, Ferguson and co. have been very, very good. They've been deemed undefeated, although having a draw against Geelong early in the season. Will they go another week closer? Or will it be the Brisbane Lions, a team that was last year's premiers? And will they beat the Crows and advance to another grand final? Led by Dawes, Captain Bree, Conan Davison up forward. They've got a very strong team. And Ali Anderson, Taylor Smith, a leading goalkeeper in the competition this year. I say but we cannot forget about the Crows. Marinoff, Hatchard, Gould, Charlton, Newman and co. They'll have something to say if they want to make a grand final. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. 4 teams remain: North Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane and Port Adelaide. Who will advance to this year's 2024 AFLW Grand Final? Let's go! Hello everyone and welcome to the SCOOPS AFLW show. I'm your host Scoops, the sole admin of AFL information, trade rumours and results. And wow, oh wow, what a weekend of AFLW footy it was. Adelaide, like in the home and away season, smashed the Dockers and kept them to 1 goal. The Hawks and Power had a thriller. A 22-point lead, the Hawks choked at 3/4 time and the Power surged through. Sachi Syme kicked the match-winning point. That vlog is one you do not want to miss. Go and check out my Insta reel where I put the whole last quarter highlights. You can see it in more. If you want to see the whole lot of the video, go check out my YouTube video, which will probably be pinned in the comment section down below, or go and check my most recent videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Sachi Syme, I spoke to her after the game, not on camera, but I said to her, we're going to now call it the famous point, and she likes that idea. It's a big win for the Power. Big moments from Dowrick and Sachi Syme, Gemma Houghton, Sinead Goody and co. It was just a great, great win for the Power, and they surged through to the Roos this week. I saw that they were written off, and then the Hawks, well, they've had excuses last week, and they've got them again. And I want to get through to that in a certain segment very shortly. Today on the show, we'll have Scoops Goes Bang. I'm going to go through, obviously, the preliminary finals. I want to go through them and who I think will win. Obviously, review the semi-finals. I'm going to go through some season reviews of 3 clubs today: Hawthorn, Gold Coast and Fremantle. And the remaining lot, excluding the grand finalists, will be on next week's show. The AFLW All-Australian squad was revealed late last week, so I'll mention that on the show here today as well. Now, please subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the bell for all notifications. Want to aim for 20 likes for this video. We're on the road to 3K subscribers. We're about 108 subscribers away. So please go and do so. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I would love to get it done before the trade period is over with the AFLW season. At the end of the draft, because that's in late December, on December 16th. The trade period's about Thursday the 5th of December. I think whatever the Thursday is, or the week after the granny, that's when the AFLW trade period commences. So I look forward to that and all the coverage through the AFLW draft and trade period as well. Alrighty. You want me on Cameo? Head to cameo.com/Cooper G. Want me to roast a friend with my birthday? Anything at all, cameo.com/Cooper G. If you know any AFL, AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees or any state league players, and you would like to see them on my podcast in a Goal King Challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Alrighty. Now it's time for the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang! Well, the Hawks. You know, everyone loves the Hawks. I mean, everyone's on those catchphrases they have. I'm not going to say it because I don't like them. I think they're pretty cringe, if you ask me. They kickstarted the selfie game in the AFLW and AFL competition, which at times it's okay, but sometimes it's a bit overboard. You know, they were criticised last week when they lost to... Who did they lose to? The Crows. No, not the Crows, the Lions, sorry, at Icon Park. And they were criticised about having an easy fixture, and they finally face a good side and they get beaten. And the coach, Daniel Webster, was not happy with that. I mean, you can only be put in against who you put in front of, but you did have an easy fixture, Hawthorn, and you come up against a really good side and you shit the bed. It's plain and simple. You did. You didn't get smashed or anything like that. You only lost by a point. But the excuses came out last week, you know, about some players being sore and whatnot. And then this week, you named about 3 or 4 players that were sore, and then Anya Madonna, a forward, was sitting out the last quarter. Anya Madonna is a terrific player, and he's one of their best players, and he's a very good player in general in the competition. I'm not doubting that at all. But sorry, Daniel, your team lost because your midfield and defence were poor in the last quarter, and the Powers forward line and midfield just were fantastic. Had Anya Madonna played, that would have made almost zero impact on the midfield and defenders. On the game as a whole, she's a very good player and very dangerous forward. But she's a forward, okay? So that has nothing to do with your defenders or your midfielders, okay? So there's more excuses from Hawthorn, okay? More excuses from the Hawks. How about giving Port credit for coming from 22 points down to 3/4 time? Maybe, Daniel, blame the rest of the team through the midfield and the back line and the coaching staff to a degree as well for not firing a shot in the last quarter. Port Adelaide were just all over you. You choked a 22-point lead. You had the umpires on your side as well for 3 quarters. Now, people go, oh, Port Adelaide had about 9 more frees. Well, if you actually watch the game, Port Adelaide got screwed in multiple occasions. And I had a lot on film where Port Adelaide got a free. Sinead Goody was a perfect example. I think it was the last quarter or the 3rd quarter. Literally right in front of me on the vlog, got a head taken off and jumped on, and no free was given. Probably got a lot of frees in the last quarter, sure, it was like 8-0, but they were basically all there and warranted, and there was some that was missed. So I never once heard them, the club, give Adelaide credit for getting the win. Houghton and Dowrick and Goody and Sachi Syme were so damn influential in that last quarter, and he gave them no credit at all, essentially. Maybe that's the problem there. And see, another thing with Hawthorn, and I've mentioned this for weeks, and I'm going to say it again, they did it again. They did not stop for any of their fans after the game. Yes, it's a semi-final. Yes, they lost by a point. I get all that. Had that been the only game all year, I may not be as critical, but they've done it again. 2 weeks in a row that I know of. They did it when I was there for Hawthorn and West Coast. A couple of them stopped and they went in. They won that game. They've done other games. I got told by someone that was at Hawthorn and GWS while I had cricket, the first week of cricket, they stopped that game. That's great. But no other game have I heard that they've stopped properly, like he's in the whole team, or 3/4 of the team, or even half the team. You know, you want to show you care for your club and fan base, then what are you doing? Like, you're not the only club. I've criticised St Kilda for doing it, and Carlton in particular. But you're doing this more and more because you're playing more games. So you're further proving my point that you don't care about your fan base as much as you say you do. Because if you did, win, loss, or draw, rain, hail, or shine, you would stop. Even if it's for 3 minutes, it's something. 3 minutes is better than nothing. And quite frankly, you deserve to lose the game for a multitude of reasons. That being one, and then not giving Port Adelaide any credit. To the Hawthorn Football Club, lift your game. It's a cop-out to say you had injuries and you had players that were sore. I'm sure Port Adelaide had players that were sore. I'm sure other clubs have had that throughout the year. And 95% of the time, you don't hear those clubs complaining about it. So why are you bringing it out now? It's because you lost and you went out in straight sets. How about, we didn't do too well in the final series. When it counted and when it mattered the most, we lost. You had good opportunities to beat Brisbane and bury them. Goal kicking was a bad thing. How about you say that? You didn't. And now this week, it's because Madonna, a forward, was off and some players were sore throughout the game. Players are sore through every game of every club. So I'm not copping that excuse. Not once was Port Adelaide given any credit from Hawthorn or Brisbane, for that matter, the week prior. So there's a trend there. You can be proud of making finals, sure, absolutely, after how your previous few years in the competition have gone, and that's great, definitely. But no credit to Brisbane, no credit to Port Adelaide. Not thanking your fans. Again, there's a trend. Lift your game, Hawthorn. It's not good enough. Hope you guys and girls enjoy that edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Alrighty. So, speaking of the semi-finals, let's go through them. They were both on Saturday. Actually, no. Sorry. I just remembered another one. Let's continue on with the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Oh, the fixturing for the preliminary finals and the semi-finals for that matter. I thought, let's see how they go this week for the semi-finals. Let's see if it's just a one-off, playing 2 games on a Saturday. Now, I've got a big issue with this, and I'm not the only one. I've asked a lot of people this. This is before I brought this up. Why is there 2 games again on the Saturday? And why is North Melbourne and Port Adelaide playing at 3 o'clock on a Saturday in the afternoon when you've got a Friday night? And wouldn't that be better for Port? Because if they were to win the grand final, then they would be able to go the next morning or that night if they really wanted to. And they get that extra day at home, considering everyone has to always bring up about their day's break and everything like that. Port Adelaide played last Saturday. North always deserved the advantage because they were the team on top. They had the week off. So they were always going to have an advantage from a day's break point of view. Now, Port Adelaide will have to travel. If they were to make the grand final, they would play the following Saturday. Then they would be traveling on the Sunday morning or whatever, potentially Saturday night. And it's not really the 7-day break. And the other club, if it's not Brisbane, or if it is Brisbane, will have played at home and not had to fly or anything like that. So, and then on top of that, you can tell the weather a week out in advance or a rough guide, right? 35 degrees as of right now for Saturday. And you're playing that game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That is fantastic scheduling again, isn't it? Seriously. That game should, regardless of the weather, should have been on Friday night. And you want great crowd numbers. And I love seeing a lot of people there. But, again, on a Saturday afternoon when people have cricket and maybe other sports like soccer or whatever, or indoor cricket or indoor footy or whatever, that is the worst time slot to put for any team. You've got Friday night available. You've got Saturday night available. One in each slot. Not that hard. You did it for Brisbane. So why is North Melbourne and Port Adelaide playing on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock in potentially 35 degrees as well? Like, do they even think of these things before they actually schedule things? Like, it's unbelievable. North Melbourne finished on top and then getting disadvantaged. And so is Port Adelaide. Now, they weren't on top, so there's a different for them. But North are on top. So you're telling me if Hawthorn had beaten Port, it would have been North and Hawthorn first v second on a Saturday afternoon. That's essentially what they're telling you. Because if that wasn't the case, this would have been flipped around where Brisbane would have played in the afternoon and North would have been at night. But clearly that's not the case. So you're telling me North and Hawthorn also would have been in the afternoon. And then on top of that, that's a marquee game for the competition as well, North and Hawthorn, if that was the case. You could have you probably would have sold out Icon Park. But now Hawthorn lost, so that's on them, as I just said. But the scheduling is unbelievable. It happens in the AFL fixture, and everything like that as well. So it's not just here. It's, I don't know. I'm not sure the guy's name is Josh. I think his name is the fixture guy, the AFL. He's not the only one to blame. Obviously, he's got a group of people as well. But why? Why? They can never be perfect, can they? Can they ever nail a decision 100% of the time? Sure, there might be an off one, but they don't make the right call the majority of the time. And this is another one they've made a mistake on. The AFL fixturing department, lift your game. It's embarrassing. Now we're done. Hope you guys and girls enjoyed that edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Alrighty. Now, let's go through the AFLW's All-Australian squad. Now, this would have featured on Scoops Goes Bang if it was terrible in terms of who they've missed and who they haven't put in. Well, I'm telling you right now, if you can look at the screen here, for the Crows, you've got Chelsea Bedell, Caitlin Gould, Ebony Marinoff, Danielle Ponta, Chelsea Randall. For Brisbane, Ali Anderson, Sophie Conway, Baldors, Bree Conan, Taylor Smith. For Carlton, Harriet Cordner, Collingwood, nobody. Essendon, Madison Gay, and Georgia Nanscorn. For Freo, Aisling McCarthy, Emma O'Driscoll, and Mim Strom. Geelong, Aisling Maloney and Morrison. For Gold Coast, Charlie Rowbottom. For GWS, nobody. Hawthorn, Aileen Gilroy, Tilly Lucas Rod, Anya Madonna. Jenna Richardson, Lucy Wales, Eliza West. For Melbourne, Maeve Chaplin. North Melbourne, Jazz Garner, Alice O'Loughlin, Ash Riddell, Kate Sheelaw, and Sarah Wright. Adelaide, Emily Borg, Shanae Goody, Matilda Schultz. Richmond, Mon Conti and Ailey Sheeran. St Kilda, Jessie Wardlaw and Serene Watson. Sydney, Sophia Hurley and BT Brenna Tarrant. For the Eagles, Ella Roberts and Charlie Thomas, and the Bulldogs, nobody. Now, only 3 players were different from this squad to mine. Oh, sorry, that didn't make it. So, Eliza McNamara, Elise Parker did not make this, and Lucy Cronin. They were the 3 in my final All-Australian team that didn't make this squad. Eliza McNamara averaged over 22 disposals per game this year, and in the back end had some games over 30 disposals, a lot of marks and tackles, and her running power and her kicking were really good. How she did not get in here is a disgrace. Elise Parker averaged around 25 disposals, one of the best averaged disposals in the competition this year, didn't even make the squad. Ridiculous. Lucy Cronin in her first year, who was a genuine contender for the Rising Star this year with Shanae Goody, who tied for my Rising Star for 2024, was Shanae Goody and Lucy Cronin. As a key defender, you could say, okay, who does she take in place of this squad? Well, Sarah Wright, I don't know why she's in here over Lucy Cronin. And I could argue as well that Lucy Cronin was also better than a few others in this squad as well. And doesn't mean she has to be replaced by a key defender in the squad. That's not how it works. Jessie Bedell had a terrific year as well, but Lucy Cronin could have been in ahead of her as well. So, okay. So that's why I'm going through this squad. I mean, the squad's not that bad, to be honest. I actually like it. Eliza West absolutely deserves a spot in here. So does Serene Watson. Ailey Sheeran, I like the selection of her in this team. Georgia Nanscorn as well. Aisling Maloney. Jenna Richardson, who I had in my team also. Alice O'Loughlin as well. You could argue that Matilda Schultz and Lucy Wells being in this squad is a waste of time because Mim Strom's going to be in there. The question is, will they put a second ruck? Now, Jessie Wardlaw kicked about 15 goals this year, and as a key forward who was pinch hitting in the ruck can be that second ruck option for the bench. I don't think she'll make the final team on the field for a forward, Wardlaw, but she could. That'd be great for me and a Saints fan. But, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what the final team will be, because then I feel like then I will go through it in more detail in terms of who was robbed and everything like that. I think it's a lock, as I said, with Mim Strom being the ruckman. If Ailey Sheeran makes a team, I will like that selection. Probably Ali Drennan, I feel like, was really stiff not to make the All-Australian squad. She was literally the next player I was going to choose in my All-Australian team, and maybe Belle Lewis from the Eagles as well, both in the midfield. and Balladors as well. So from Brisbane. So yeah, it was a really tough choice. I wonder where they put Tilly Lucas-Rod in this squad. Like, is she in as a half-back or as a midfielder? Because if it was a midfielder, then Elise Parker should be in. So should Balladors and Ali Drennan as well. So, yeah, very interesting. Harriet Corner is absolutely deserved. That has been Cullen's best defender. But yeah, all in all, a good squad. I actually really like it. Just McNamara, Cronin, and Elise Parker, Bell-Lewis, and Ali Drennan. Well, Bell-Lewis is in the squad. Bell-Lewis should be in the squad as well with Ali Drennan, Elise Parker, Lucy Cronin, and Eliza McNamara. But overall, I don't mind it. What are your thoughts on the All-Australian squad for AFLW for 2024? Actually, don't mind it. All right. Now, let's go through reviewing the semi-finals. And, well, the Crows, they kept the Dockers to 1 goal again, just like they did in the home and away season, 49-12. Ebony Marinoff was really good again. 1 goal, 32 disposals and 12 tackles. Hatcher, 24 disposals. Maddie Newman, 24 disposals, who's been linked to Carlton in the trade period. That's still a possibility with Ella Heads. For the game, though, Gabby Newton, 19 disposals, 11 tackles, was Frere's best player. It's just another easy win for the Crows. I expected this to happen. I'm surprised Frere got this far. But, here they are. Great win for the Crows. They got the Brisbane Lions this week. And then the 1-point victory for Port Adelaide over Hawthorn, 50-49. Sachi Syme is a star. Only 20 years of age, Sachi Syme. I believe actually it's her birthday today. So not well done. Happy birthday, Sachi. Hope it's a good one. There you go. I just remember that because I just saw that on Insta. Just pop up just before I started recording. It's a good timing there. But yeah, she was fantastic. The famous point, as I'm calling it, and she knows, and everyone knows, because every time I mention this, I always say it, the famous point. If you remember when Jimmy Bartel did it for the men's a long, long time ago, well, this is the AFLW version of that for right now. Sachi Syme with the famous point. That's won her team a semi-final, got them through to a preliminary final. Oh, how good of a win that was for the Power. Sachi Syme was really good. Gemma Houghton played a part in the second half. Abby Dowry kicked 2 goals in the last quarter. Sinead Goody was good all game. No pun intended. She was generally good. Was goody. And a good person too. But yeah, great win for the Power. The Hawks, well, Emily Bates did really well. Eliza West, for most part of the game, did really well as well. But, as I said before, Hawthorn cost themselves, but they're blaming injuries that didn't affect their midfield or their backline. Interesting. Yeah, so let's preview those preliminary finals, shall we? Well, that was a review in the semis. So let's go preview the preliminary finals. Saturday, 3:05 p.m. at Icon Park. It's North Melbourne hosting Port Adelaide. Will there be any changes to the rules this week? Emma Carney should come back in. Who's the unlucky defender or someone in the team that goes out? I feel like it could be Eliza Shannon. They'll more than likely be the player that goes out. Or Emma Carney, if she's back in. Neve Martin is probably one of the other players that could come into the team in general. We'll have to wait and see there. For Port Adelaide, they'll probably go in unchanged again. Alyssa Brooke, a young key defender, maybe someone they look at if they want to add some more tall defenders, as North Melbourne have got a really tall forward line of Emma King, Kim Rennie, Kate Sheila, Alice O'Loughlin's pretty tall herself, so they want to add some extra height. Alyssa Brooke, they could look at bringing into the team. But who am I going for? I'm going to tip North Melbourne by 2 points and go through to another grand final. But this one, the Power won 8 in a row, so they're definitely a chance now. They didn't fluke that on the weekend, so credit to the Power for that. Next game is the night game, Brisbane v Adelaide at Springfield, which is 7:30 Victorian time. I'm tipping Brisbane in this one by 17 points. I think Adelaide, although they made a prelim and they potentially could be banking their granny, I feel like against the average teams, they've been really good. But when they face the top sides, they've been beaten a little bit. They've only just won some other games, like against Geelong, who didn't make the 8. So it's like, yeah. Brisbane are a far better side than those other sides Adelaide have been playing and beating or losing to or struggling to win, like St Kilda. they struggled to beat the Saints, and the Saints should have won if Jamie Lambert should have got a free. But anyway, I digress. Still annoyed about that. But here we are. So, yeah, I'm going Brisbane by 17 points. I don't think either team will make any changes unless there's an injury or concussion or something else pops up. I'm going to go Brisbane by 17. So it would be a grand final rematch of last year, North Melbourne v Brisbane at Icon Park the week after. Now I want to stress enough too, if North Melbourne were to win the grand final, to win their prelim clash, it will automatically be at Icon Park next Saturday night at 7:45 Victorian time, the granny. If North Melbourne lose and Port win, the grand final would be in Adelaide if Adelaide win. Doesn't matter for Port. If Adelaide win and Port win, then the grand final will be in Adelaide, more likely Norwood Oval, or will it be somewhere else that holds about 15,000 or so, or even Adelaide Oval maybe, if there's no cricket on there. But if Brisbane win and North lose, it'll be in Brisbane at Springfield, which is where they're playing this week. If North and Brisbane win, it'll be at Icon Park. So Icon Park, Norwood Oval, or Springfield will be the likely locations in Melbourne, Adelaide, or Brisbane. That's the only possibilities of where the grand final could be. Alrighty. Now, let's go through my season reviews of 3 clubs today: Hawthorn, Fremantle, and Gold Coast. Okay. So Hawthorn, you go out in straight sets, excuses, easy fixture. Doesn't mean you didn't have a good year. You had a good year. Okay. Anya Madonna was great. You had 6 players being nominated for the All-Australian squad, which is a credit to those players in particular. Eliza West, what a great recruit she was from the Melbourne Football Club. I said during the trade period, best trade recruit, and you nailed that selection. Eliza West is a good person, great player, contested player, tackler, tries her heart out, and does very well. That's why she was equal second in my Scoops AFLW medal for this year. So Westy had a great year. Casey Sheriff, pre-injury, was really good. They had a bad ankle injury. Case came back in the last few weeks of the season, played a part as well. Obviously, coming back from the injury was very hard in quick timing as well. There were 2 good recruits for them. Jenna Richardson was a star down back this year. Anya Madonna was a star for us, as was Aileen Gilroy. But yeah, they had some good wins against the Saints. I remember when the Saints were flying, when Greta Brody kicked 6 goals. I know that game still gives me nightmares. I was in Perth for that game. Lucky then, I guess. Didn't have to see that live. But yeah, they had some good games this year for sure. They smashed the Eagles, who, in Frankston, who are a good team. But when it got tough for them, they lost and choked a 22-point lead at 3/4 time and lost to Port Adelaide at home, in a way, home state. So, yeah, Freo. Well, they're not getting away with this either. They struggled to beat Essendon in an elimination final at home. They won by 10 points. Essendon were in front of parts of the game. No Pasparkas, no Bonnie Too Good, no Ruckman, no Steph Wales. You struggled to beat them. You were lucky to make the 8. You had some good games throughout the year. Some games you got lucky in that you shouldn't have won. Emma O'Driscoll had a great year. Mim Strom, star ruck, should be the All-Australian lock for the ruck spot. Maddie Scanlon played a part through the backline and pushed up the ground a little bit. Gabby Newton was a great recruit from the Western Bulldogs and proved her worth to the club. I thought Gabby Webster played for Williamstown, former Gold Coast player, especially from the Saints game onwards. When she kicked that goal, her first ever goal, she just went up to another level. So that's a credit to her, Gabby Webster, for doing well there. Ariana Hetherington, very similar around the Geelong game in Geelong. She's done really well. They kicked a couple of goals around then. And, for the majority part, the rest of the season did pretty well. But yeah, disappointing for them. They got lucky against Essendon. They almost lost it when they couldn't lose that. With no Ruck, no Bonnie, and Maddie Pasparkas was off in the second quarter. And they were losing while Maddie was off and those players weren't even playing. So they got lucky. Then they played a good side in Adelaide and they got smashed. So again, just like round 2, I think it was when they played Adelaide, scored 1 goal. They did it again in the final. They weren't ready for the top 4 sides. And yeah, really, that's what they deserved, really. I feel like Geelong were even better than them overall throughout the year, which is saying much, is saying a lot, because Geelong missed the finals by a game or 2. game in percentage, something like that. Oh, a game and a half because they had a draw against North. So, yeah, interesting. Now, the last club I'm going to go through today is Gold Coast. Charlie Rowbottom had a great year and won the club's best and fairest. Well done to Charlie for winning that. Neve McLaughlin had a good year. Daisy Darcy, you wish her all the best in her recovery. She unfortunately did her ACL in the last 2 games of the season, or in one of the last few games of the seasons. So, wish Daisy all the best. She's a good player, good person, and hopefully she recovers from that dizzy, as they call her. Now, Claudia Whitford missed a lot of the games for the year. Doesn't help in their midfield. What happened in Gold Coast? They made finals last year like the Swans. I had them 4th and 5th, Gold Coast and Sydney. Both didn't make finals. I spoke about Sydney last week, but for Gold Coast, it was very similar. Like, Swans were better this year, absolutely, over Gold Coast. But, like, what happened? They lost a lot of players in the trade period. Ali Drennan, a key midfielder, went to West Coast. Bess Keeney, a midfielder, an experienced leader, went to Essendon. They lost a few other players. Lauren Arends went to the Bulldogs with Jazz Smith. And so they lost a lot of players that were playing pretty regularly and were key parts of their squad for leadership or for just being very good players as well. And it's just very disappointing for the Suns that they did this. Cam Joyce, his job may be on the line. I wouldn't be shocked. They're going to bring in Havana Harris through the academy, who will potentially be pick 1 or pick 2, or bid on at pick 1 or 2. They'll get her in the year after. Georgia Davies, the sister of Fleur Davies and Darcy Davies, and Giselle Davies will be part of the Gold Coast Academy as well the year after. So they're going to have a lot of top draft picks in the next few years. But, you know, what did they do wrong this year? They had a lot of close games that they choked and drew with GWS. They got smashed in a lot of games. They got smashed by Hawthorn. Well, not really smashed, actually, in Frankston. They did okay in that game. They got smashed by the Saints in round 1. They were all over the place, Gold Coast. They had some good games. They had some close games. They lost games where they should have won. Then they got smashed in some. So it wasn't a great year for the Gold Coast Suns, and I'm sure that's one they will want to rectify come trade period. They need to be ruthless and do some trading. And speaking of the trade period, no update on Taylor Harris still. A club like Gold Coast should look for her to help Tara Bahana, the skipper, forward. A club like Gold Coast needs to look at someone like Taylor Harris, brings the experience, leadership, and if she can get back to her best, Taylor Harris could be a great addition. And if you can get her on the cheap through a trade and financially, I mean, why not? You have to wait and see. Darcy Maloney is almost certain to join the Sydney Swans. The Saints are looking at Charlotte Bascaran, as are the Pies. I'm going to say this again for the Saints. The Saints should be looking at someone like Darcy Maloney, but she's very likely, almost certain, they're going to be at Sydney and leaving Geelong. So the Saints got to look at these type of players that are playing out of position or aren't getting regular games that they should. So Charlotte Bascaran does fit that spot that I just mentioned. But there's other players in the previous weeks that I mentioned they could try and pry out of a club. Like St Kilda should try and get Michaela Bowen from the Cats, gets that run, play on the wings. St Kilda don't really have any wingers. Some forward line support for Jesse Wardlaw. I mean, you look around the competition, someone maybe like Ariana Hetherington, even just a key forward support, because St Kilda don't really have any options at the moment. And when they have, those players haven't fired a shot. They need a ruckman. Try and get Alice Edmonds out of the Bulldogs. Obviously, someone like Mim Strom's not going to go, but these are the type of players you should be looking at. Ali Morfitt, back from an injury next year. So someone they should look at. Try and target these players from other clubs that are, or some players that are playing out of position. Some players you may get on the cheap right now before their stocks rise even more in the future years. Do you try and get it Ella Roberts out of the Eagles or Charlie Thomas or Azalea Goldsworthy out of the Giants? Like, just try and be bold, and because you need to fix a lot of areas at the Saints. Serene Watson is a star defender, but she needs some support down there. Besides Paige Trudgeon, no other defender fired a shot. Hannah Priest is the captain, and to be honest, for her expectations, wasn't good at all. Do they trade her out and make a bold statement? She's 30-odd years of age now. Will she be there for our next premiership? I'm not sure. So I'm going to try and get something for her while you can this year, because after this year, may not be worth as much. So from a trade point of view. So maybe that's something the Saints need to look at doing as well. That's some trade goss. The more I hear, it's more the same as last week, which is why I'm not really repeating all of it. But the more news there is, I'll be covering more and more trade talk throughout the next few weeks or so. Thank you all for watching this video. Until the next video, have a great one. The most important thing of all to remember is go the Saints. And of course, acknowledge me, the one. And if you know any AFLW players, any up-and-coming draftees, or any state league players or AFL players, and you would like to send them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Who will be going on to advance to this year's 2024 AFLW Grand Final? Will it be North Melbourne or Port Adelaide? Or will it be Adelaide or Brisbane? Thank you all. Go Saints!